matter what it is in life that you want, you gotta go out there and get it. Just don't let it come to a sleeper but a dream. Never give up on your goals, stay focused on you. Focus your view, succeed, cause I'm hoping you do. Keep climbing up the ladder, cause the key to success. Go hard and go home, never settle for less. Life is stress, but we gotta deal with it, homie. Send a prayer to the man to put a shield on it.
What's up, team? This is Robert Porter with the I Love San Bernardino County radio show on KCA NBC 106.5 FM, 1050 AM, where we will talk politics, culture, and history. What's up, Yanni's in there?
Yo. How you doing, Robert?
Yeah, well, where's Jesse at? If you're listening to us right now, where's Jesse at in the house, man? We're expecting you to be in here, man. We need your guidance, man.
Definitely.
But our co-host, Jesse, he's a busy man. Right now, there's been a lot of things that have to do with the year changing and home loans and things he's got to deal with. So, like, he's doing all that. But hopefully he'll be back soon. He might be here today, too. You
never know.
Walks in here late, Today we have Councilman Damon Alexander in the house. How you doing?
Outstanding. Thank you for asking.
Yes, you look like you've been walking all day.
Walking all day, walking in the rain.
Hey, now.
And not with the woman I love either.
Don't get yourself in more trouble, brother.
Because you had her walking on the other precinct area, right?
He's got her out in the rain, too.
Well, when you're both running for election, right?
Well, yeah, that would be true.
Yes, you got to work hard. We also have Chief Dan Muncie in the house.
Hey, everybody, and for the record, I've been walking with my wife in the rain. She's right over there.
Yeah, Amanda's over in the corner here. Thank you for joining us today. And we also have Tanya Hensley with Talk of the Town.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
I'm a regular here on the show, and I want to thank you all for showing up here today. What did I miss something?
Did he introduce you?
Yeah, Tony. Oh, yeah. My co-host.
Me or
I got
Yanni?
him first, man.
Okay.
Got to get Yanni first, man.
Yeah.
He's the man. So, like, a little history for me and Yanni. We started this stuff about 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were doing it at the Carousel Mall.
True indeed.
And so you actually came on as a candidate way back
In the
days.
day, I remember.
And now we've going on.
Almost close to 10 years, man.
Wow, it's just
It's
incredible.
a blessing. It's a blessing,
And
man.
just focusing on not getting paid, like I paid, right? Yanni helped pay, right? Sponsors help pay, right? So how do we do it, right? Thank you, Max Zaire from Celebrities
go.
Bar and Grill, right?
Thank you, Max.
Kicking butt, taking names. Now I have a little gossip on Max. Like, I don't know if I should be telling it, but like I heard he got put out there in at the Juice It Up out there in Calamasa. He got put out there.
Okay.
Because he gets asked for too much money at the celebrity spot,
Well,
right?
do we wish Max a belated happy birthday?
Oh yes, we're getting to that.
Happy birthday.
So I called him up and I sung to him, and then I gave him a call back.
Serenaded Max?
Yeah. So but my thing is, I love to sing to Max because he's a great guy.
There you go.
If you can go to Calamasa and right there off Cherry Avenue and go to the Juice It Up and just have a drink, right? Yeah. That's right past where you're driving home. Maybe you can get a drink for her on the way.
should.
Yeah. And spend a little money out there for them. They're trying to get started. They were just recently broken into.
Again?
Right?
Out there?
Wow.
Yeah, like someone threw a rock through the window and took the money out of the cash register.
Wow. That happened to Viva La Boba where they stole the tablets and then they got the window fixed and then they just recently shot it up with BBs. So, we need those lights downtown.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
This happened in Calamasa. I was there at the grand opening.
Yeah. So what happened is it actually happened to a string of them down the freeway. So somebody knew that they keep under $200 in the registers after they close.
Oh, wow.
And they went through each one and took the money.
And now everybody that's listening knows that.
No.
Right. They stopped.
It was in the news. I mean,
right.
like,
They stopped.
Yeah.
Done.
I want Max to do good because
Yeah.
Celebrity's got that $9.99 steak special on Tuesdays
now.
and Saturdays, right?
Hey,
So you can
now.
buy a drink, have a good steak, enjoy. So thank you for what you do, Max and Zoe. And I'm sorry you got put out there in Calamasa, but you're always welcome to come back and visit San Bernardino. You know it will.
Or you could open another one here,
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Ah.
I think
Seventh Ward, open it up
sometimes
in
it's good to withdraw. Yeah.
Right.
We got a spot for you.
No lobbying right there.
So thank you so much, Max. I'd like to mention also our I Love San Bernardino standout of the week is Tanya Hensley.
Guys.
She will be joining us tonight.
Oh,
right?
nice.
And that's brought to us by Ben Chavez with First Lineage Site Services, and they do the middleman stuff for running sites for jobs and things like that. So they don't really, you can't go buy their products, but he wants to do stuff and help the community. So this is how he does it. He's been doing it for over a year.
Thank you, Ben.
We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
That helps me put on this show because, like I said, I pay, right?
Yes,
So if you pay for something, that means you're not getting paid. So how does that happen? Sponsors helping us. So
Yes,
I do
indeed.
appreciate it. And if you would like to sponsor, please hit me up.
Yes,
right?
indeed. Yes,
Yeah.
Right?
indeed.
I'm sponsoring the show a lot of the time, right? So how do I do? Well, yeah, I had to take my money and I put it down there, right? And
There
get
you
it in
go.
my savings when I don't have enough, right? I don't have hardly any savings, but I'm doing this. But this is for San Bernardino, team.
You love San Bernardino.
We're doing this
We
to
love San
educate
Bernardino.
the people, right? So they can learn different perspectives. And it gives a place for me and Yanni to get up here and
Hey, now.
wag our mouths a little bit, right? So I appreciate that all. I did have like a history tidbit, but I don't know. I'm going to hold back on that one because I wanted to ask the fire chief. Do you happen to know, like, is there any history with the county fire that you would like to share with us? Like anything?
Little history about
Yeah.
county fire
Yeah.
and San Bernardino City?
Or
Or just
wherever.
County.
Yeah, the whole
Well,
thing.
how about I'll just give you my own journey real quick. I started in a 2-station fire department, Yucca Valley, and
Okay.
I was a Pake Hall firefighter as a volunteer. And I just told the story to Damon how I got involved with it, but literally I dropped out of high school. I went to Riverside Poly. I know, from Riverside. And
The Empire.
yeah, I moved up there as rock
no,
climbing.
Yeah, they steal our water.
Yeah,
but
it's- yeah,
It
you-
used to be San Bernardino County, so.
It's on the other side of the line now in this part of my life. So I was climbing, and my friend fell and broke his back. So I went to the local college, and I said, hey, I'd like to take first aid. And they said, go take the EMT class. And anybody that wants to be a firefighter, and this is a great career, go to Crafton Hills, go to one of our Valley, go to one of our local colleges, become an EMT. We are hiring. We want to hire out our local community. So I did that and did it right out with the fire department and said, this is what I want to do. And so that 2-station fire department has grown and grown and grown into San Bernardino County Fire Protection District. We're one of the largest districts in the United States. We are the largest county in the United
Yes,
States.
indeed.
And I've just gone for the ride the whole time, from that volunteer position now to the fire chief. The men and women that work for us are just incredible. They are true firefighters. A lot of cities around us, they don't really have the calls that our men and women respond to. I mean, you guys saw the snow last February,
Yes.
buried the houses, caused gas explosions in the houses. Houses are catching on fire. There was roofs collapsing, grocery stores collapsing, 40,000 people without utilities. And then you've seen the wildfires. If you've lived here in San Bernardino, you've seen the Grand Prix fire, the old fire, the more recent fires that we've had, and some of people remember back in 1980 into the Panorama fire. This community in our county is truly all hazard, all risk, and our men and women work really hard. I'm blessed to be part of that.
Amen.
So during the Panorama fires, did you live in Yucca?
So that would have
Where
been
were you born?
1980. So I was in Riverside.
Riverside born?
Yep, it just pretty much in that whole area. And
Okay, so
kind of
you
bounced
would
around a
have
little.
seen from far away. Like I was in the
Yeah.
center of the Panorama fire. I can remember looking out as a kid, looking out my window, and seeing fire, like in every direction on the mountains, and I was very scared.
Here's what's
Yeah.
scary, okay? So Panorama Fire was 1980. And then the old Grand Prix fire was 2003, 23 years. And if you go 23 years from 2003, 2026, we're right back in that cycle of where the next big fire can come. So we look at big fires in this area every 20 years.
Was Grand Prix, was that the old fire?
Yeah, so they merged
Oh,
together.
they merged, okay.
Yeah, and just
So
became a
that-
huge fire.
So the old fire is what burned Arrowhead Peak, and that's what reset the art on the actual hill that made it so I could actually, oh my gosh, there's art on there, was because the charred remains left the
Oh,
images, right? So it
sure,
was like,
yeah.
wow. And before it was actually trimmed and stuff and maintained, so like when it came back to the original how it would look.
Right.
So it was a lot easier for me to see compared to the old historical images. Would you look at it? They're all overgrown, right? So that's where all that came from. Just a little side note. So that burned back, and look at it, all came back, right?
It did.
The whole
It's
mountain came.
It's all back and it's ready to burn again. Every 20 years is a cycle
And
that
it
we're
builds,
looking
builds
at.
up quick, and then it burns right off
And
again.
I wish I can. And so one of the other facts that's really interesting for San Bernardino County is we have our own wildland crews and heavy equipment. And that's, Tanya, we're working hard to keep people safe. We put our heavy equipment and our wildland crews trimming brush, all as it abuts to the national forest, because we want to keep the fires on the national forest. We want to keep it out of our community, because as you remember on the old fire and on the Panorama fire, we lost a lot of houses. And these weren't just houses that were up against the forest. What happened is, because of the wind and the embers, houses next to houses started catching on fire, and we had deep penetration in the city. So
What happened is the forest used to be maintained by the Native Americans.
Right. True,
right?
true.
So we got away from that, like being like a forest husbandry or whatever, taking care of it. And that's what you're doing now.
Well, kind of. So the U.S. Forest Service, they have jurisdiction on their land. So I wish that we can go and do more work on federal land. We can't. We're not allowed to by the federal laws. So what we do is we end up removing the brush and vegetation that are on private property that abuts against the houses.
It helps them out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
But you're
sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah,
Who
sure.
does that? Do the residents call county fire and say, "Hey, brush is kind of high. Could you come remove it?" Or how does that process work? If that's a process at all.
Yeah, well, there's several different ways we do it. We look for grants and opportunities. Sometimes we go through the NEQA or CEQA regulations that are needed to create different fuel breaks. And so we'll work with CAL FIRE, who has the California areas, or the U.S. Forest Service, which generally has most of our federal land. Or we'll do things called chipper days, where we'll notice the community that we're going to come in, cut your trees, and put the brush right on the side of the curb, and we're going to come and we're going to chip all this with chipper machines into the trucks and haul this out. So we do a couple of different ways that we'll do it. We'll create demonstration gardens, so we'll go to people's houses and we'll show them what a fire-safe house looks like. But it's really important, these hand crews, at getting out there and preventing the fires from happening. The last thing I'll mention on a little couple history on the fire department is more modern, is that we responded to 196,000 calls for service last year. And that's across the entire fire jurisdiction. And for perspective, I mentioned it's the largest county in the United States. We cover 19,200 some odd miles, square miles of that. You could take the 4 smallest states in the nation and put it within our borders. But it still puts us slightly behind San Francisco with the amount of calls that we've run. Here in the city of San Bernardino, we have fire engines that are in the top 10 in the nation, like within the top fire engines being busy. They're running close to 7,000 calls per year. And to kind of anchor, what does that mean, is that generally in the fire service, once a fire engine hits about 3,000 calls, you start thinking it's too busy. So some of our fire engines here in San Bernardino City are more than twice that busy.
Can I ask a fire-related question?
Sure.
So right here I'm wearing a Chubsy Smashburger hat, right?
Hey,
Chubsy's,
yeah.
right?
Hey now.
They are about to open their brick and mortar over on by the Sterling and Highland Shopping Center by the old Target.
Yes.
By what's it called? The Crazy Boss.
Yeah.
Right? So that's coming in. That's coming soon. I think it's today or tomorrow. It's really quick
I
here.
want to be there.
Yeah, it's coming soon. They started because of the Amazon fire at that warehouse. You
Really?
remember that?
They
right?
of course I remember
Yeah,
that.
so they lost their jobs, right? And they started doing the smash burger. But my question is that fire has caused such a huge issue in San Bernardino as it relates to the actual cement in the Oxbow pile on Palm Avenue up in the north end of San Bernardino.
Interesting.
When a fire happens, does it allow chemicals to leach into cement? Like, if you don't know, you can just tell me. You
I'm
don't
not.
know.
I'm not a chemical
Yeah.
engineer.
But this is a
So,
constant question
yeah.
that's been coming up.
So
right?
what kind of chemicals is more what I'd consider.
Anything
so one
that
of the
would be
things,
hazardous to rebury in that spot.
Yeah, I would say, as a rule, generally no, wouldn't be hazardous. But we are learning new things about fire every single day. And for instance, electric vehicle fires, lithium-ion batteries are proving to be extremely hazardous to firefighters. I don't know if you know this, but if we have a lithium, well, no, foam doesn't even suppress them. You should get the thermal runaway, and the batteries become unstable.
Oh.
You can put a lot of water on them. You can put the fire out, and it could reignite. But here's the problem: they're off-gassing these chemicals, and they get into our protective equipment, what we call PPEs, our turnouts.
Okay.
And there's no effective way to clean the turnouts. You literally have to throw away this $10,000 ensemble for the boots, the pants, the jacket, the hood, the gloves, because there's no way to clean it. And so one of the things I mentioned is I've been to Congress recently. I've been talking about fire issues and how they're affecting our fire district. I've been asked to go to Congress in a week and a half to talk about electric vehicle fires and the hazards we're facing and how difficult it is to put out.
Are those costs directly put on the firemen, or they're reimbursed through taxes later, or how does that work with their uniform?
No, okay, so as an employer, I have to provide protective equipment to our firefighters. I got to keep them safe.
So if it's $10,000, you're buying another one. Right?
Absolutely.
So can I kind of interject a little bit with a couple of things? So one of the issues right now with COVID and that whole time where production had ceased is, my understanding is you guys are having a hard time getting your gear, getting your vehicles. There's like a 3-year wait once those purchase orders happen to have that come through. So can you kind of give us a little bit on that?
Sure, supply chain issues, and we've noticed it as consumers too. We haven't been able to get everything we want, the right brand at the right time. So what it did is the manufacturing process is shut down. So probably the biggest example, the one that's the most crazy for us, is when we order a new fire engine, they start from scratch with the chassis and they build the fire engine. And generally you can get a new fire engine pre-COVID within 10 or 11 months. Okay. Right now it's 3 years. And then how much things cost now is what's scary.
How much has it increased since COVID?
Well, so we were
So,
buying
like, what
fire
is-
engines
what
about...
does one cost at first?
That's one of my favorite questions to ask people. So I'll ask you, what does a new fire engine cost? You can't answer.
I'm gonna say,
This guy's smart on public safety.
I'm gonna say $5 million.
$5 million is really expensive.
Okay.
I would
So
say-
my wife tells me I need to go buy a new purse, and she gives me a high number, and then
Okay,
is that
okay.
the tactic?
2.5. 2.5.
$1
So-
million.
$1 million.
Okay.
Generally, when I ask people, they say, "Gosh, 200,000-300,000," because that's a lot of money. But the fact is, pre-COVID, we were buying them for about $750,000.
Is that a ladder truck or just a regular?
That's just a regular
Okay.
fire engine. Today, it's 1.3 million for a regular fire engine. A ladder truck with the ladder on top, that's $2.3 million. So it's gotten expensive. The second question I ask is, how much does a new fire station cost?
I will
25 million.
15 million.
All right, so those are great guesses. It always scares me. I'm still in sticker shock on how much it costs to build fire stations in California. Because here in San Bernardino, $1 million gets you a really nice house.
Yeah.
So why couldn't you build a fire station for $1 million? What we're finding out is that it's hard to buy land in San Bernardino because of the growth, first off. But our fire stations, we're building 2 new ones. And we have three that we want to build, but the first one is Fire Station 226 on Del Rosa.
Okay.
It's being built right behind that fire station. That one's about $11 million to build that fire station.
Are you guys gonna keep that other one there, or?
It'll eventually either be repurposed for public safety use
Okay.
or be torn down.
Okay.
The second one is Fire Station 227, Electric the 40th. And Tanya and I just went and visited it. Right down the street is Lake Arrowhead Elementary. We worked with the school district to get some extra property that they weren't using. We're building another fire station there. That'll be around the same price, $11 million. The third one is we're working on a new fire station up by the university to replace Fire Station 225, the one that used to be on Kendall. People remember that. Closed many years ago because it hadn't been maintained and it had a lot of black mold in it. But Robert, to your point, you threw out $25 million. We are building a new fire station to service Rosina Ranch and the Lytle Creek area. And because of the seismic concerns, the liquefaction, The fact that we have to use prevailing wage in California when we're building, that's a $22 million fire station. So it's gotten real expensive.
Why
to build.
throw out big numbers like that? Because we've been talking a lot about, redoing City Hall and just
You're right.
the numbers.
Field
like,
Act.
Yeah, you're just like, wow,
Right.
like that's a lot
How
of
is-
streets and that's a lot of fire engines.
It always amazed me too is how much it costs to pave streets.
Yes.
Damon knows that. I mean, people go, "What's up with all these potholes? Fix 5th Street, fix 3rd Street."
You fix them all and then the rain comes and you
Yeah.
fix them all again.
Pops them out.
Yeah.
Pops them out.
Part of it is they need to fix the infrastructure, and like up where I'm at, it's a never ending cycle because they don't actually dig the street up, put the pipes underground, and then recover it. And they're gonna keep doing it until they fix the natural springs and water tables and everything else. And that's a big part of the problem. So we did a ride along the other day and went through different areas of town and talked about Arrowhead Elementary. We talked about up at the university, the fire station you're looking at, and a lot of how those things are being paid for. And I'm just going to put the elephant right here in the middle of the table is the money that we have from Measure 11. Not 11, Measure W. Sorry. Measure W. And so if you look at it, like, I know when we sat down and we just had a candid conversation, when you came in, the equipment, the apparatus, everything was so done, right? The fire stations, the mold, the holes, like all those things that we really just sat down and said, okay, where were you when you came and where are you now? And so the money from Measure W has given you guys the ability, my understanding, and I'll say it this way, to kind of bring the fire stations up to where they need to be with equipment, with actual facilities, with the apparatus, with all of those things. And it's starting to give you a possibility to kind of get to even ground with all the calls you get, all those things going on. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes. So Measure W will be on this March's ballot, March 5th.
And these are the signs we're seeing around the county right now.
Absolutely.
Okay, or at least around San Bernardino, right?
They're everywhere that County Fire provides service, so 19,000 square miles. So this is our fire tax, and it funds the fire district $46.5 million annually. This is a property tax that's on the property bill, and it's $171.85 per year. So the property owners are paying for it, not the renters, the actual property owners. And it's a flat tax, meaning that it's on everybody's property, on every single APN. And it doesn't matter if it's a vacant lot or if it's a commercial lot, if it's a single family house or Walmart. Everybody pays that $171.85.
Technical question, as the monies do come in, when there is an over amount or there's a surplus, you give it back to the city, right?
Well, yes,
Yes.
that's something different. I'll get there in a second.
Okay,
So let me break
right.
down Prop W for San Bernardino
Okay.
City. It's when the city in 2016 was going through bankruptcy. And those that have lived in San Bernardino, we know that we do this. It's happened over the years. They could not afford public safety. They were being told by the judge, you need to cut costs. It was really important for the city to keep the police department. San Bernardino City PD, by the way, is excellent. Their police chief's a good man.
And the sheriff didn't want them.
And so the fire department, they came, San Bernardino City Fire, the city council, the mayor, the city manager came to our San Bernardino County Fire Protection District and said, can you provide service? We need to save $10 million or we're going to go in bankruptcy. So the answer was no, we can't give you the same level of service that you have today for $10 million less. We just can't. And I'm throwing out some round numbers. They're not to the dime, okay? So what the city did is they said, we're going to transfer $20 million in property taxes and in vehicle licensing fees, and we're going to annex into this fire protection district tax called FP5. So that FP5 for the city represents $10 million of funding. So the total of the property tax plus that FP5 is what pays for services over time. Now, in 2016, when the fire district did this with the city of San Bernardino, we weren't really sure how the taxes were going to come in. And so we came to an agreement with the city that we would sit down on an annual basis and we would look at the tax rate structure, and if there was any overage, we would give it back to the city. And so that has happened a couple of times.
So
over time.
technically, you don't get all of our property taxes. If there is excess, it comes back to San Bernardino.
So technically, we do get all the property
property
tax.
Oh, they get it all, but
They
they.
get it all.
But
But
let
if
me
there is
explain
extra,
that.
they give
Right.
it back. All right. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like sometimes people think that like you're just getting all the stuff and nothing's coming back, but like you're getting enough to cover services and then returning.
So
if there
I
is
think
extra,
people
right?
think there's a lot of money in property tax too, and you would think because we pay 1% ad valorem. But what happens with that 1% of the property tax we pay is that there's money that goes to the school districts,
I was just gonna
that goes to
ask
the
that
college districts. Sometimes it might go to parks and sometimes might go to water, goes to the city, goes to the fire department, could go to a bunch of different places. So each entity is getting a portion of this property tax. In the city's case, very little money was actually going to the city, but the city received a lot of sales tax. Most general funds that cities operate from are composed of property tax and sales tax.
And TOT tax.
TOT would be, and a few others.
Right.
And then there's enterprises, they're fee for services they charge.
Right.
The vast majority of the general fund is that sales tax. In San Bernardino City's case, they had less than $10 million of property tax to even give to the fire district. So that's why I mentioned that they gave the VLF, which is a vehicle licensing fees, to the fire department. So over time, if the money exceeds what we agreed to, that money, whether it doesn't matter what it is, VLF or property tax, goes back to the city. At the same time, we balance out our needs, and I mentioned that the San Bernardino fire engines are amongst the busiest in the nation. Prior to the city annexing service into the fire district, there was 2 other fire stations that were open. There was the National Orange Show, Fire Station 230, and there's Fire Station 223, which is up by Medical Center Drive.
Yes, the west side.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Those stations never opened. And so as the fire chief, what Tanya was mentioning is when the city was coming over during bankruptcy, they literally didn't have the money to replace the fire engines. They weren't putting the money in to maintain the fire stations. I mentioned the fire station in Kendall we had to close because of black mold. And it was because it just hadn't been fixed or maintained. There was water in the walls that just got out of control. So what we did as a fire district is we've been finding money and repairing the fire stations. And that means the roofs, the cement around it, security at times, adding on to the fire stations. For instance, the fire station 222, which is on 9th Street, we just reconfigure the quarters so we can put a paramedic squad into that fire station. They have a fire engine with 3 people. We're going to add 2 more people here shortly so we can reconfigure that station.
Another technical question. Like when you're doing budgets and stuff, like you're trying to get more money here. Is there anything that the county fire is doing to try to save money?
Oh, absolutely. So the first one that goes almost unsaid is economy and scale. When we go buy a new fire engine, it's never just one fire engine. We're walking in and we're buying 10 to 15 fire engines. The second thing is when we buy a fire engine, we don't buy Cadillacs. We don't. I wish we could. Some cities around us that
San
are better,
Manuel. Yeah.
better funded. We buy the Ford, the Chevy, the Dodge version of that. The same thing with turnouts. We competitive bid everything, and we do it in bulk to get the best cost.
Who has the best fire engine in the whole area?
The best fire engine. I always say I love our fire engines because
Yeah, of course.
uh, They are workhorses.
Is there a
built for
Cadillac
it
one?
tough.
I'm just wondering. The
No.
Salmon will have a Cadillac one.
So the manufacturer choice often that'll be named is Pierce.
Oh, okay.
Everybody likes these Pierce
Because
fire
I've seen
engines, been
Salmon
around
Wolf, man.
forever.
It's got
gorgeous.
everything
Yeah.
on it, man. It's incredible.
Now they take a
That
lot of pride
saved
in their
my
equipment.
house.
Yeah.
I
In
have a-
2003, they parked outside our wall and they saved our house. No
That's
joke.
awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I want to pivot to a different aspect of firefighting. I was wondering, how is it that you guys utilize the new technology, such as like the drones? Do you guys use drones to help fight fires? Are you using like AI to kind of track the path of fires or try to predict where the path of fires? How are you guys utilizing technology?
Great.
Question.
Great question. I think we're known, believe it or not, San Bernardino County is known as being one of the most innovative fire departments in the nation
Awesome.
on what we're doing. Simple things like when you call 911, you'll hear a series of questions. Those questions are designed to know how imminent is this emergency. If it's imminent, you're getting a fire engine and a ambulance code 3, lights and sirens. But if it's not critical, you may just go to a nurse. So we put nurses in our dispatch center. Sounds like a no-brainer. We were the first in California to do that. With robotics, here's a great story. We use drones, UASs, to fly Potato Canyon in Oakland before the floods. I knew there was going to be floods there. I asked our drone operators, hey, go fly the canyon and map it. We used GIS,
Geographic information
Thank you,
systems.
Geographic Information Systems. I really should know. Esri's in our backyard.
Yes, yes.
They flew it, they mapped it, and then after the flood, they flew it again and mapped it. And you were literally able to see it on a screen, and you can use a slide bar, and you can see where the displaced houses were, where potential victims should be. We also were one of the first fire departments in the nation to adopt a common operating platform. And so all our firefighters on our fire engines could see where all the other fire engines were, what calls they were going to, what their assignment was. And then we took that information, we shared it with all our neighbors. We do a lot of automatic aid and mutual aid with our neighbors. They come into San Bernardino City and vice versa. We wanted to share that information and that awareness, that situational awareness. So there's just some of the things we're working on. We just got a grant through UASI, which is a federal urban area security initiative. We're getting a quadruped robotic.
The little like
Looks like a dog.
Boston Dynamic dog.
Boston Dynamic.
Yeah.
Oh, you know your
Yeah,
stuff.
I
So-
have a robot question. Like, so, we just had that natural gas explosion that injured those firefighters in LA. To protect yourselves, I envisioned a fire truck that comes up that has a robot on tracks that comes out to those situations and starts spraying so you don't get close. Like, is that going to be something you have to look at now? Because that was dangerous. I mean,
Fighting fire has always
yeah.
been dangerous. With
Yeah.
the use of robotics, it's coming more and more prevalent. We don't have any tracked robotics right now. Nobody really does. LA County has one that's remote control, so it's not using AI to actually make decisions. It's dragging a hose line, and they're using it as a water canyon.
Okay.
It's deployed on the back of a big trailer. It's not in the fire engines.
Not yet, but soon.
Not yet. So with the quadruped that we're getting, the dog, it literally has the ability to go into a collapsed structure and do LiDAR scanning to give us three-dimensional images of the structure.
Are you going to take that to show the kids at least?
So when we have robotics, absolutely. But we also have
I'm just a good kid.
I see.
a lot of working dogs for San Bernardino, which is surprising.
Yeah.
So we have arson dogs.
Yep.
We got our arson dogs within the last 4 years. We got them through a grant through State Farm. These are fully trained accelerant dogs. They know how to look for fires, and if there's been arson using accelerant, they will know, and they help us catch bad guys. Let's put it like that.
That's good.
Then we also have dogs on our COAST teams, which is community outreach and support teams. These are teams of firefighters, behavior health, and police that are all in plain clothes with a dog, and they proactively go visit people with
Any
mental illness.
Dalmatians?
No Dalmatians. No, Dalmatians are a little harder to train than I think some are.
I don't
They're
know
not the
why
same.
that came up.
Blame
So-
Disney.
Yes.
A couple of things that I'd like to address. One, when you first came on the podcast with Robert and I, when we were first doing it, back at Celebrities, Sunday night, had to be 8 o'clock, and I still appreciate the fact that you drove in at
course.
8 o'clock on a Sunday
well, that's cool.
night.
From Joshua
right?
Tree.
You had just gotten Denty.
We did, yeah.
And
That was
now
our
you
first
guys
arson
have
dog.
so much more as far as your animals and what you have out there for the community. So
And our firefighters and arson investigators that have the dogs, this is volunteer. They take care of these dogs 24/7. We've been able to work with our unions and put the dogs in the fire station. They're there to support our firefighters, but support the public. We've been very innovative with deployment of the teams. We also work with homeless outreach with the dog. The fact is that people that are in mental crises, they're going to start relating to the dog way quicker than you and me. And so it's been able to break down a lot of barriers.
It's beautiful.
And I have to move on to the next segment. Tanya, one question. Go for it. real
well,
quick.
I wanted to clarify something. They're not asking for more money with Measure W, and that was kind of said a minute ago. What they're asking is, or what we're asking as a community, and I'll say it that way, is no on Measure W, because that keeps the money that is currently going for fire services intact to continue serving the community.
Current funding.
Yes, the current funding. And so I wanted to
So it
clarify
just
a
leaves it
question
alone,
you
right?
asked. Right.
Leaves it alone.
If they vote no on W, that leaves the money that's intact for services intact. It leaves it alone. We still get the services we're having, and we're able to move forward with those. Right.
And the chaos that will ensue if this goes the other way.
Right.
We'll have to have you on for another show
So
for sure.
two things
Yeah.
on that. One is the money raised in San Bernardino. I've got to spend it in San Bernardino. I can't take it and send it to Lake Arrowhead or
Right.
Hesperia. It's got to be
Good.
spent here. The second thing is, without that money, there is no replacement.
Okay.
I will have to make hard choices, which likely means closing fire stations. There's no other way
Right.
to make up $10 million gap in your city's budget for fire.
So actually, if you vote yes on W, you're voting for less fire stations in the future.
Less
right?
services,
Less services.
less
Yeah.
personnel,
All of that.
longer service times.
Last thing, where do they find more information on this?
You can go to our website, sbcfire.org, or just Google San Bernardino County FP5, and that'll pop up.
And we were just talking about animals, and Councilman Damon Alexander was one of the votes to help. We have now a mobile animal clinic, right,
I
that
saw
does
that.
vaccinations and chipping, right?
That's what it does, vaccinations and chippings, and we are so super proud of that. Thanks for San Manuel, Yamava, to help bring that about. It's a beautiful vehicle. We're supposed to do it tomorrow, grand opening tomorrow, but it's going to rain, so we're going to postpone it.
Oh,
So
bummer.
because it's going to rain, so we're going to postpone it, but we're going to bring it back out.
Awesome.
So I know that the
And
animal.
we've been looking for a veterinarian too.
We've always been looking
Yes.
for a veterinarian. Like our director Watson says, we have always been looking for a veterinarian. We're not the only city absent of a veterinarian. There are many cities absent of veterinarians. We've tried overseas to look for veterinarians. We've done all things possible to try to get us a permanent veterinarian at our shelter. We haven't stopped, and we won't stop looking.
I'll do a prayer tonight.
But that sounds like a wonderful opportunity for our higher education, like Cal State, Crafton Valley. Sounds like they should be cultivating some kind of veterinarian program. Well, at least I'll throw that out there.
You
And
throw
more
it out there, and I'll
paramedics.
catch it.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Groffs keep leaving, man. They're heading over
The Groffs.
They head to Tennessee.
Yeah, you know them.
So I have to ask you some certain questions because I'm asking all the candidates from the 7th Ward. How do you feel about the city with homelessness? What do you feel you've accomplished in the last 4 years? What do you feel like is coming in the future?
Well, what we accomplished when I first took the office 3 years ago is that there was nothing we're doing with homelessness. The city didn't have a program, there was nothing going on. Everybody was doing their own thing. So what we did is we had a big forum, a big forum, a Zoom back then, brought them all together. We brought everybody, it was like 31 vendors or 31 people that dealt with homelessness. We got them all together. We said, okay, who's in charge? You know what? Nobody's in charge. So I took it upon myself to get them all together, sit them down at a table and say, hey, let's focus. You teach me because I don't know, right? That's not my wheelhouse. I don't know. So we got them all together. They taught me about homelessness. They taught me about people, because that's what it was about, people. So they taught me about this mental illness. They taught substance abuse, people falling on hard knocks, people not quite and homeless, living in their cars,
Vehicles, yeah.
children couch surfing in the school district, all of this. And then we said, okay, well, who do you answer to? Well, continuum of care. Who do you answer to? ICH. Who do you? But nobody in the city was controlling that. So I took it upon myself to control it. We called it Operation Saturation. We knew what beds we did. We knew what handoffs, transitional housing. We did everything from my office with my chief of staff, volunteer chief of staff, Renee Wickman. And we said, okay, when we go to an encampment, we would provide service again and again. That's why we called it saturation. We'll go back again because it takes 17 to 44 touches for them to touch you and believe you. You just can't go in there and say, you know what, Dan, you're gonna come with me because I'm gonna treat you right.
They don't believe that.
They
at
don't
all,
believe
yeah.
that. And then you have to remember, some folks actually like to live that way.
There
And
is
I
a
don't,
percentage.
and I think the public is now getting that some folks actually like to give that way. And then I tried to say, look, I remember when I was growing up, if you keep handing, and I don't even know if I should even say that, but if you keep providing such services like tents and bags and making everything
Food
comfortable
and
for them
everything else,
and
yeah.
make it very comfortable for them, they won't accept the things that we're offering, the services that we're offering. And I'm just going to be honest. That's just it. If you make it so comfortable, they won't accept the service that we're offering. And we weren't doing that. We're like, we're coming back in 6 weeks. We're going to clean this campus up. We have a bed for you because we know how many beds we need to do. And we have services after that. I called it the baton handoff because once you get them in temporary housing, you have to get them right with their medication or whatever they need to do. And then they need to be, once they get settled there, then we're like, okay, we need a job because, right, we want to move them to the next level. Well, that's that baton handoff, right? So we worked with BirdTech. I worked with the warehouses around in the area, and even Stater Brothers, right? We said, hey, if we have these type of folks, can you help me help them? And they said yes. Can you help me? And their HR department, they created a little special HR department to help them. And it's like, we'll follow them a little closer than we would any other employee. And if you fall down, like Scripture says, you got to help them back up, right? So we did all of that, and then the city got a hold of it, and then the rest is history. Now we have two different types of outreach programs. The Coast, we work with the county with the Hope, right? We have a general outreach team. We just got $35 million with Lutheran Social Services, right?
Yes.
To build a 140 state-of-the-art wraparound services. And what I asked them, because of barriers, right, I said, can you do me a favor, Lutheran Social Services? Because I love them, right? I said, can you do me a favor and build a kennel? Because that's a major barrier because they don't
yes.
want to give up their animals.
Very true.
Right? They
Very
don't want to give
true.
up. That's what I learned, right? They said, Councilman, not a problem. We'll build a kennel. We'll build a kennel. Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead. Anya.
Definitely. I was wondering, with what is your new vision, or what do you hope to accomplish if you get reelected? What is your new vision for the 7th Ward, and what would you like to or continue to work on in the 7th Ward?
First and foremost, we want to continue to work on is dealing with this issue of mitigation of the homeless problem. But first, after that, is our streets, right? I want to do a bond. I want to do an infrastructure bond. You live in the city. I want to do. You live in the city. I'm sorry, I don't know.
I was born and raised on the west side, but I currently reside in Fontana.
Okay. Well, I want to do an infrastructure bond, right? I want to repave every single street in the city of San Bernardino. Less it's been paved in the last 7 years, right? I want to repave.
Yeah, if it's been deferred for 50 years, it's time to get to those streets.
Right, but this is going to require a bond. It's going to require us to pay our fair share to do that. But I think it can be done because when I was in Atlanta for the National League of Cities, I met with some of their electeds and some of their financial people, and they did a bond to repave a major portion of their city. Well, I'm like, if they can do it, we can do it. But the voters are going to have to prove it. I'm going to have to ask my council mates and the city manager, hey, do you think this is a good idea? Yeah, I think it's a good idea. We vote on it, it goes on the ballot, and then either you guys think it's a good idea or don't think it's a good idea.
Some of the issues we have, and I know up in my area specifically, we have a lot of natural water that comes and it destroys our streets, and within months of it being repaved. We get a good rain like right now, and what happens is, and I've said this at council, I've said it several times, they didn't hold the new developer accountable to put the infrastructure in under the streets, and all that water and runoff goes into the street, into the wash, and then what happens is it creates huge holes. We had a kid break his femur on his bike because of it. In the summer, the water never stops. So the things I want to see are the things that actually need to happen as far as infrastructure for some of that, not just making it look pretty, but actually going in and fixing it.
And that would be what ward?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
That's a fifth ward, right? Or
It's fourth ward.
Fourth ward.
And I've addressed it. I very publicly. We all know. This gets me in trouble all the time.
All right, so
Good trouble.
Sorry.
one more question we have to do. We got one more question that I have to ask everybody.
Okay, well, I got
All right,
that,
all right.
but would you pay for, if I can get that on the ballot, would you guys
If
vote
you're
for
going to
that?
guarantee me that the infrastructure is going to be fixed,
Well, I can't guarantee, I'm talking about paving streets for the entire city.
sure. But the other part of that is, and I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Yes, I'm willing to pay for it, just like I'm willing to pay for the fire tax, right? I own multiple properties in town. I don't mind paying $172 per property for myself and my renters to have services. I don't mind paying for a tax, but I want to see those things fixed so that I'm not every 6 months going to council saying, you know what, we talked about this and it's still an issue, right?
Well-
And that's kind of what I want to see.
Well, then, like Sierra Way. I used to live on Sierra Way.
Have property on Sierra Way. Tell me,
Well,
what are you
I-
not going to tell me?
Well, then you know I can boogie board down Sierra Way.
Absolutely.
Right, I can boogie board down Sierra Way. And that was one of the first things that I addressed with Alex Keishta back in the day, right? Like, hey, Alex, you know what? Sierra Way is a river, and I didn't know it used to be a river. But
Yeah.
Sierra Way is a river. How can we deal with this? I need to deal with this because we need to do something in the infrastructure, drainage, somehow to relieve the
Yeah,
pressure because it
absolutely.
is super dangerous.
Yep.
Right? Super dangerous. So he's like, okay, I'm dealing with the county, but I'm having some issues with the county because there had to be a connection made, right? So I got with Supervisor Baca and, say, hey, Supervisor Baca, my guy says there's a problem with the county side. We're not getting the attention that we need for this to relieve the issue with the water and the infrastructure down there. Well, thanks to ARPA, we had some ARPA money. We talked to Supervisor Baca. Supervisor Baca and I came to an understanding. We got the right people involved, the right staff involved, and now that's going to be taken care of.
Good.
That's going to be taken care of.
Absolutely.
So
There you go.
there we go.
There you go.
Robert,
There we go.
and you had
Wanna
one
see
more
that all
question?
There's
over.
one more question I have to ask, otherwise it will say I am not fair.
Not fair.
Carousel Mall.
I
What do you
love
see for the future of Carousel Mall?
Well, we had a plan for the Carousel
Yeah.
Mall, but it's going to come back. What I see for the Carousel Mall is I see multi-use. Everybody is multi-use. Boutique restaurants and shopping at the bottom, residential at the top. Now let's be sure. Let me be very frank and
Please,
earnest.
only do honesty.
Right, because I default back to that, right? It's going to take a minute, and a minute is like they're going to build it in phases. It's going to the last developer said it was going to take 10 years. 10 years. So I just want everybody to know it will happen, but it's not going to be,
Instantaneous.
right. It's going to take about 10 years. And they're going to build it, like I said, in phases. And it's going to be beautiful. And it's going to be nice. We want the rooftop gardens. We want all that stuff. We do. We want all that stuff. And I want to see it too because my children live in San Bernardino. My grandchildren, as you see
Right.
me dragging around, live in San Bernardino. And I want them to say, you know what, my Papa Grand helped make this happen.
Papa Grand. I like that.
Two things I'm going to say. LEED certification, right? LEED certification, and I've said that many times at City Council. And then monopolizing our water and our geothermal power that we have underneath that area and taking that and building it into whatever you do. right? Because those two things are huge for the future of our city and our area.
Well,
The question that I have is, when are you going to run, Miss Tanya? Because you seem to have a lot of the answers and a lot of the solutions.
Well, that's a part of what we were fighting for at the beginning was I call it it's not I don't call it, it is smart city solutions, right? It's all about smart city solutions, and that's a part of that. His fire department, utilities, using green wind farm, reduce greenhouse gases, all that filming, all that is part of smart city solutions. And sometimes it's really hard, and I get frustrated because I want San Bernardino to be that city, right? I want us to be that city, but sometimes it's like pushing a bear, right? Sometimes
I poke it all the time.
It's like, I don't want to poke the bear. I want the bear to move along.
Honey and salmon.
Right? It's like moving an aircraft carrier.
I hear you.
Right? I want a smart city solution. I got my fire department. I want him to have the latest technology. I want my police department. You saw what's happening with the police department. We're going to get all the new cameras. They're going to have AI. It's going to film in. The businesses are going to be involved in that. So we can do all of that, tie in with the fire department. It ties into everybody. I want to do a new fusion center. I want to do a new fusion, call it a transportation fusion center. That handles everything in City Hall. We see everything. We see particulates. We see what the trains are doing. We see what the airport is doing. We see what trucking's doing. All this is in a fusion center. New York has one. I just want to copy it. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I just want to copy it and put it in City Hall, right?
There you go.
Be aggressive. Be ahead of the game, not behind the game.
And then definitely, could you let our listeners know how they could support you and where they can go to find out more about your campaign as you run for re-election in the 7th
There's
Ward?
12 days left, ladies and gentlemen. 12 days. I just want you to whoever you vote for, right? I would like for you to vote for me in the future, but whoever you vote for, just vote.
Amen.
Okay? Just get out there and vote. If you live above Highland to 40th Street and from Scooby to Del Rosa, you live in the 7th Ward. And if you live in the 7th Ward, you know that we have been doing what's right by the citizens of the 7th Ward and the city as a whole.
Isn't there 15 days?
It's March something.
Yeah,
March 5th.
Yeah, because we have 2 shows before that, so.
Tomorrow's the 20th.
Yeah.
That's a great
Yeah,
segue,
yeah.
by the way.
All right, this is awesome.
But
You know-
remember to vote no on what?
Vote no on W.
No on W. Oh, I'm
No,
going
no,
to.
W.
You know it. You
Remember
already
that.
know it.
Please, you
I
guys,
just-
remember that.
I have to say something before we sign off because we're getting to the end.
Yeah, and I have some announcements to make.
I just want to say happy birthday. And in the fact that our very special fire friend came out here on the eve of his birthday, and a special birthday. I won't say what number, I'm just going to say 25-ish. Right?
We don't be tripping like
and
that.
you have something to end?
Definitely. Just wanted to highlight the 56th annual Black History Parade and Expo in Fontana. It's going to be happening this Saturday. If you look on Facebook, just type in San Bernardino County 56. It should pop up. The event page, come on out. As I just said, it's the 56th time that we've done it. The city's behind it. The signs are all across of the city of Fontana. So come on out. It starts at 10 a.m. The parade starts at 10 a.m. and it runs to 4 p.m. So come on out. It's a free event. Come out and have a great time.
Well, thank you, Councilman Alexander, Chief Muncie, for coming on the show. We appreciate you
Thanks
so
for
much.
having me. Appreciate it.
Tanya,
Thank
Santa
you.
of the Week.
Thank
we
you.
love you, Yanni.
Hey,
and
now.
this is Robert Porter and Yanni with the I Love San Bernardino County Radio Show, and we are
Out
All right.
I'm a man who loves the blues. Day or night, I'm in the blues. Love the music, deep down soul.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters.